This will become an access point to what we are referring to as consciousness or the basis of the life that we are, in a way. So somebody can call it consciousness, somebody can call it a being, somebody says this is God. Well, we can use as much vocabulary as you want. Essentially, we are trying to put a meaning on something which cannot be defined, which has no meaning. If one wants to have mastery over time, it needs a different approach. If you have to go that way, either you must have an enormous understanding of various aspects of life, it'll become extremely scientific, or you must be simply willing to listen. His own body, he ate it up because Shiva said so. No reason, no sense, but simply ate it up. So he rose above all gods. What is being said is that he rose above time and space and everything. If I can say something, can I?
Sure, sir, please.
See, Stephen, as we sit here, this is my body, that is your body, distinctly established. Right now, it is 100% like this. I don't know what you're drinking, I can't see, but whatever you're drinking, what's in the cup is not you. The moment you drink it, after some time it becomes you. This is happening right now. So, though what you think is your body and what I think is my body is just a piece of this planet, right now it is distinctly clear, this is my body, that is your body, 100%. This is my mind and that is your mind, these are my emotions and those are your emotions, these are my experiences, those are your experiences. But there is no such thing as my consciousness and your consciousness. This is a living consciousness. We blew our own bubble. I'm sure you have that little wonderful boy who came on the screen, I'm sure he's blowing soap bubbles at you sometime. So, if you blow a soap bubble, this is my bubble, that's your bubble. Poop it went, then there is no such thing as my bubble and your bubble, there is no such thing as my air and your air. Consciousness is just like this. Right now you have blown your bubble, I have blown my bubble, this is me, that is you. But when this goes poop, there is no such thing as my consciousness and your consciousness. It is just that we are holding a certain amount of, if you want to call it as consciousness, I would prefer to call it as life, because the word consciousness, as you are speaking, I'm seeing that even last time when we spoke to all Bala's friends, what I see is wakefulness and consciousness, there is no clear distinction in medical terminology. See, everything that you do with your anesthesia has nothing to do with consciousness. It has something to do with body and various functions of the body. You're shutting down certain aspects of the bodily functions. One of them is transmission of pain, which is the main interest when somebody is going to surgery. You don't want to stop their heart, you don't want to stop their brain, you would like to see the transmission of pain stops. Whatever is being cut, whatever damage or fixing is happening, whatever parts of the body may be being removed, what is not vital may be being pulled out, all that is happening. Only transmission of pain is not happening. This has got nothing to do with losing consciousness and gaining consciousness, there's no such thing. So we're using the word wakefulness and consciousness in a little different way, and not only that, especially not just in medical terminology, generally in English language, there is no distinction between somebody is unconscious and he became conscious and consciousness as a larger possibility. So, my body, my intelligence, my mind, my memory, your memory, my experiences, your experience, all different. But there is no such thing as my consciousness and your consciousness. It is just that it is only the human creature on this planet who has the neurological capability and sophistication of mechanism that if they allow it, they can access this dimension of consciousness. No other creature is really capable of accessing it. This doesn't mean there is no consciousness in them. Without that, the life process wouldn't happen. There is consciousness even where there is no body, all right? Only thing is, you need a certain sophisticated instrument to access that, which is the human mechanism. This is why we consider being human is a great privilege, because you have access to dimensions beyond your physical boundaries. That is the fundamental significance of being human. So, let us not misunderstand the instrument and what we see. If you take a telescope and see, you saw another galaxy, but the galaxy is not produced by the telescope. The galaxy is there. The telescope only gave you an access. Similarly, your body, your brain, whatever, I don't want to identify different things, from your hair to your toes, everything is body as far as I'm concerned, including your brain. It is just another dimension of the body. So this body, if we keep it in a certain way, if we do not contaminate it with too many ideas, philosophies, identities, if you keep it in a certain level of openness, this will become an access point to what we are referring to as consciousness or the basis of the life that we are, in a way. So somebody can call it consciousness, somebody can call it a being, somebody says this is God. Well, we can use as much vocabulary as you want. Essentially, we are trying to put a meaning on something which cannot be defined, which has no meaning. Meaning is a consequence of human psychological process. Psychological process is a consequence of accumulated memory. So you cannot slap one meaning from your mind upon a limitless possibility which is the very basis of our existence. So this is what is the fundamental mistake, that we are trying to take a piece of our psychological process and trying to understand what is consciousness. Consciousness is not something that you can understand. Understand means there must be a meaning. There is no meaning to it, there is no meaning to the existence. It's just a tremendous phenomenon. But you can experience it. You have the necessary instruments to experience it, not the instruments in your lab. You as a person, you have the necessary instrument to experience this. Will you allow it or not, is the only question. As I said in the beginning, it all depends on how you're identified. If your identifications are limited, you have lost the ability to experience it. If your identity is, not identified with anything, you kept yourself loose like that, then there is a possibility of experiencing it. A whole lot of people under drug-induced conditions, they are claiming they experience many things. I'm not questioning that at all, it's very much possible, because one thing that I have seen happening to people under the influence of alcohol or drug is, they've lost their sense of identity. What they think they are usually is not there in them, they've become little boundaryless. Because of that, they might have accessed a certain dimension, but will that make them competent to access it whenever they want? No, 100% not. In fact, they may lose their faculties because they forced it upon, chemically forced something to happen, so that may that may damage the instrument for good, and you may not be able to experience anything beyond a certain point.
Think of time.
See, from where to where we're jumping.
Time is again I won't create.
Yes, definitely. Otherwise, how do I tell you what time to come for dinner? If we all become timeless, how to invite you for dinner, tell me?
We are all slaves to it.
We don't have to be slaves to it, it's a device that we used for our convenience. See, if we don't divide this day into 24 hours, would you know when to come here for dinner? It's a convenience. Where is the question of enslavement?
I come when I'm hungry, even if it's here.
So you may come when you're hungry, but there may be no dinner when you come. You may not feel hungry till 1 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't mean it's the dinner time here.
When you get
See.
too bound by
No.
when time is…
See, any convenience that we create for yourself, time or money or a car or a technology that we created for our convenience, out of our unawareness, we get enslaved to it.
There is nothing wrong with the device that we created. There's nothing wrong with the car, there's nothing wrong with the money, there's nothing wrong with the time. You got enslaved to it out of your unawareness. That's the problem, isn't it? Time is not the problem, money is not the problem, car is not the problem, any other technology is not the problem. You got enslaved to it, that is the problem. Enslavement happened because you're unaware. So your unawareness is the problem. So how to become aware? What is this awareness? Awareness is in many different levels. What you are aware of is all that exists for you. This must be understood. Right now you're sitting here, don't turn back and see. Right now there is a huge dinosaur standing behind you. You are not aware of it. Does it exist for you? No. So it doesn't matter, such a huge animal is standing there, you are not aware of it, so it doesn't exist for you. So only what you are aware of exists for you. Right now your awareness is limited to small aspect of your life. Whole aspect of spirituality means to become aware of everything that you are, so that before you go, you know life, you experience life in its totality, to live totally. To live and to live totally, that's spirituality, so that you know life in all dimensions. You don't go just knowing a little part of your life, you want to know all of it. So if you want to know all of it, how? If we have to use an analogy, let's say we turn down the voltage for the lights. Now let's say just one light is there, it just lights up only that much. Only that much we see. If you turn up the voltage, suddenly you're able to see much more, because the light has spread. So awareness is just like this. Right now your energies, your body, your emotion, your mind, everything is functioning at a certain limited voltage. You crank up the voltage, suddenly you start seeing so many things which are not in your experience till that moment. So in a way, to put it very simply, to put it technically, you need to turn up your voltage. The voltage, the life voltage within you. Today she was saying, she doesn't want to sleep because she wants to live. If you don't want to sleep, I don't want to sleep will not take away sleep. You turn up your voltage, suddenly, no sleep. You can turn up your voltage simply with your enthusiasm, but that will not take you all the way. There are other kinds of technologies to turn up your voltage in a certain way, where all the time you're high. See, within myself right now, I'm absolutely drunk. Not with alcohol, okay? I never touched it. I'm totally drunk within myself. Am I balanced enough and logical enough to handle any situation? Yes? So all the time I'm fully drunk on one level, another level I'm perfectly sane. If I want to flip, any moment I'll flip. If you are like this, inside you're fully charged, outside you're controlled. This is what is needed in your life if you want to experience life in its totality. You try to exercise control over your life and you started putting this control over your very process of life. So life is happening like a trickle. Life within you should happen like a huge explosion, but outside it is fully controlled. You will see initially when you go into your face like this, even the outside tends to happen like an explosion for some time. But within a limited period of time, you will gather control over it. Outside is controlled, inside is an explosion. That's how it should be. Every moment of your life. Within you, life should be an absolute explosion. Outside of you, it is properly controlled. When it's like this, you will get to use your physical body, your mind, your emotion, everything that you have to its fullest extent. Things that you never thought you were capable of, suddenly you start doing simply because your voltage is full.
How our spiritual practice can help us manage time, information and energy you talked about earlier?
It definitely helps you to manage energy, isn't it? Definitely it does. Information, to manage your information properly or not to succumb to the tendencies caused by the information, of the past information, energy is a very important part. The old rut has formed. If you want to get out of it, you need some energy. If you don't have enough power, you can't get out of it. It will take you in the same rut. So if you generate sufficient energy, you can also handle the tendencies caused by the old information. The karma can be broken only if you have the needed energy. So these two things, it definitely serves. Above all, once your energies are in a certain way, what somebody does in 24 hours, you may do it in 6 hours. Or what you do in 24 hours, somebody may do it in 3 days, which is a fact for us. So all three things are being managed in a certain way. But specifically about time, if we want to have a grasp of time, then we would need a sadhana which is of a different nature. If you want to have mastery over time, there's a completely different kind of sadhana. This gives you some, but mainly it's focused towards handling the karmic information and the energy. If one wants to have mastery over time, it needs a different approach. If you have to go that way, either you must have an enormous understanding of various aspects of life, it'll become extremely scientific, or you must be simply willing to listen. If you have either one of these qualities, it's possible. The first one that I said, an enormous understanding, that will not happen in a short time. That cannot happen in a short time. It takes a lot. It will take lifetimes for people to understand how it actually happens. What is time? I know science has some explanations for time. It's fine, they've taken a few steps, but it's nowhere near the ultimate reality of what is time. So, I would say, going into that such sadhana right now limits itself to only those people who will simply listen. If I tell them, jump into a well, they will jump. Not an open well, tube well. Yes. If I say jump into a tube well, they will squeeze themselves and go into the tube well. If they are like that, we can do kala-related sadhana. You've heard of kirtimukha? Every temple is adorned with the image of kirtimukha. When Shiva said simply, you eat yourself up. He said, I'm hungry. He said, you eat yourself up. He simply ate himself up. Only his face, mouth and hands were left. Everything else he ate himself up. So, Shiva said, you are a glorious face. You are above all gods. So, every temple has the face of kirtimukha, where hands are into the mouth, everything, the body is gone, he ate it up. His own body, he ate it up, because Shiva said so. No reason, no sense, but simply ate it up. So he rose above all gods. What is being said is that he rose above time and space and everything. He's above gods means he's risen beyond all these dimensions. Because even gods are subject to some of these realities. He's above all that.